Hi, Nursing Lakers. Here's part 2 of the video. You've now screenshot your questions from the assignment from Blackboard and you're ready to begin. So here's an example of question 1 and 2 from Blackboard. And you see you have the multiple choice answers options available to you and you have all 10 questions ready to roll. Now, how do you use my resources? So you check your email, download my resources, and then you're going to begin with question 1. You're going to look at how I did question 1, and then you're going to do the real question 1. So let's take a look. So I have assignment 1 opened up. You'll always find on the front page is the roadmap. Okay, this outlines what the assignment questions are asking. You see, I'll have this stuff bolded. Those are the target words. So question 1, the first question you should be doing is finding the question that says for you to calculate a standard deviation. Okay, so you'll scan through your assignment. Most likely my question 1 will match your Blackboard assignment question 1, but if it doesn't, then you just look for the question that says calculate a standard deviation. But notice that question 1 and question 2 are both calculate a standard deviation. So now, what is the difference between the two? Well, this one here, notice here that it's just a set of scores. There's no frequency column, no classes. So there was like one person who got 4, one person who got 7, 8, 9, 100. Okay, so here there are 10 people who got their scores recorded, and that's what's listed here. Over here, notice here I've got classes and a frequency distribution. Okay, so there were 11 people who fell between 75 and 124, right? 24 people who fell between 125 and 174. So in total, there were 50 people in this study where we collected their times. So you see that the data is very different. This one is just a set of individual scores. This one has a frequency column and some classes. So find the question that just has a set of scores and that says calculate a standard deviation. Okay. This particular assignment 1 has a roadmap that spans across 2 pages. Okay, but you'll see from here on out, everything is on 1 page. Okay, so let's start the first question. So question 1 is find the standard deviation, no frequency column, right? So here's my example. There's a set of scores, 8, 4, 9, 11, and 3. 8, 4, 9, 11, and 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scores. 5 people were involved here. Then I tell you to set it up like this, and I've sent you this sheet, so use it because this shows up always on the midterm, sometimes on the final, and it's pretty much on every assignment except for assignment 2. Okay, so you have to calculate standard deviations for a data set, and you'll see that you'll have to do it quite often. Now, on your handout, I've put the numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. In my example, I would only go to row 5 because there were only 5 scores. Then I put the scores here. And then I've outlined what you need to do in each column. Okay, so let's use my example to see what that looks like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 scores, n is 5. Here are my scores, 8, 4, 9, 11, and 3. First thing I do is I add them up. So my sum is 35 when I add these up. Then I generate a mean, which is the sum divided by the number of scores, divided by n. The number of scores is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 people. So 35 divided by 5, the mean is 7. So you can see that that's just finding an average. Fancy name for finding an average. 7 is the average of these scores. Then in column 3, it says score minus mean. You notice I'm not using equations. I'm using words, right? There is a long equation for this, but I'm just using words because you're allowed to use my handout for the midterm and the final exam. Okay, so here I take the score, 8 minus 7, which is 1. 4 minus 7, which is negative 3, and so forth. Okay, I've made this yellow here. Why I've done this is because you want to work a little faster. So working across columns 3 and 4, column 3 and 4, will save you time. So after you do the score minus the mean, you enter 1 in here. Then you hit the x squared, the squared button on your calculator. And then you should get 1 and you enter it here. Then you go to the next one, 4 minus 7 equals negative 3, enter it here, and then hit your x squared, it should be 9. So this example is really easy, but on the real question, okay, you have numbers that are like 54,194. You don't want to keep entering it into your calculator. You're likely to make a mistake, and it takes time. So work across, it'll be faster. Then you'll notice here in column 3, I've blacked it out. Okay, that's so you don't try and do any fancy math. Some of you nurses like to do something fancy here. I've blacked it out here. I've blacked it out on your handout, so you can't even try to do something with this column after. Okay, in this column now, column 4, you're going to add up all the numbers again. Okay, so it's 46. The next thing you're going to do is find the variance, which is the sum divided by n minus 1. And I have a note up here. N minus 1 is a number of scores minus 1. So remember the number of scores was over here, 5. So 5 minus 1, I say note. You need to do this bottom part first. That's part of BEDMAS, right? 5 minus 1 is 4. Then once I get to this level, I can do 46 divided by 4 and try it on your calculator. Make sure you get 11.5. That's the variance. Now, once you got this, you need to take the square root, not squaring it, not x squared, square rooting it, which should be just above your x squared. So you're going to probably have to use your second function, because you'll clear the calculator, hit second function, hit the square root sign, enter 11.5, and then hit equals, and you should get 3.39. Try it. Make sure you're using your calculator correctly. Not all calculators work the same way. Hopefully your calculator works that way. Okay. These examples are here for you to try and make sure that you're using your calculator correctly. And I sent you a resource on how to use your calculator. Okay, so once you make sure that you can run all of the buttons correctly on your calculator, then you do the real example. Use my handout and follow these steps. Then heading into question 2, okay, it's find a standard deviation again, but this time it's for a frequency distribution that has classes. So it's a whole different table. You'll need to create this yourself. The reason I say that is so that if I give you a handout for this, you might be tempted to use it again. This question never shows up again in your course, okay? So make this yourself, okay? The first 2 columns are from the question. And you'll notice that on your question, you're supposed to use this big, long equation. But look at what I've done over here. I've changed that equation to just 3 numbers, right? The n, you're going to replace all these n's with the sum of column 2. You're going to get the column 4 sum and put it here, and the column 5 sum and put it here. Okay, so that should make things a lot easier. Then okay, so here's my example. Okay, you'll see here are some age classes. And here's the frequency associated with those age classes. This one's almost exactly like your real question, except for the frequency column is different and there's a couple more age classes. Okay, so 20 to 29, there were 27 people. So here's my layout, right? And I've done the first couple of rows for you. Understand where I got these numbers. So if you look here, and so the first 2 columns just come right from the question, right? And then I add up and I get my 82. And notice here I put 82 wherever my n's are, 82. How do I get the class midpoint? Well, I got 29 plus 20, and then I divide by 2. Well, where did I get this 29 plus 20? Well, I got it over here, right? Here's a 20, here's a 29. I add them together. Once I add them together, then I divide by 2, and I should get 24.5. Try it on your calculator. I know sometimes people use their calculator wrong, and they get 34.5. That's not correct. It means you're not using your calculator correctly. Okay, because 24.5 is exactly in the middle of 20 and 29, right? That's what class midpoint means, right in the middle. 34.5 is not in the middle of these two numbers. Then in my next column, I do 24 midpoint squared. 24.5 squared times 27, I get this number. Try it on your calculator. Make sure you're using your calculator correctly, because it does not feel good to go through this assignment question 2 on your assignment, and you get all the wrong numbers. You're wasting your time. Make sure you're using your calculator correctly by using my example first. Okay, so you follow through this example, and then you'll notice I give you the bed mass. So follow my little steps here, right? Once I get all my numbers, so 82 goes wherever the ends are. Column 4 number, here's my column 4, 117, I put it in there. Here's my column 5 number, 2939, I put it in there. Okay, and I tell you, on the top, multiply n in column 4. That's where you get the 9650, blah, 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 right? And then I tell you to square column 5, so 2,939, square it, and it'll be 8,600. I hope that this helps in terms of following along my resources. People that can follow along on my resources and learn from my resources rather than the textbook or videos do very well in this course. Understand how I did the questions. There are going to be some tricks, but the reason I put those tricks in is so you don't freak out on the midterm or the final exam, and all of a sudden you have to slightly change the analogy to use it, okay? My resources do work for all the assignment questions, but you do have to work through my practice on my assignment before you do the real question. If you do 2 questions a day, you're done every assignment in 5 days. So assignments 1 through 3 can be done in the first month of your course. So it is well worth it to just stay ahead and do 2 questions a day. Don't try and sit down and do all these questions all at once. You'll lose your mind. You'll lose your mind, okay? So don't do that. So good luck.